was talking to Jim as I walked up and thought I was getting on a plane. Maybe some of you have noticed, but I've been campaigning for the president all across the country, and from now on, at least through Election Day, I'm bringing you with me to introduce me everywhere I go. But thank you, Jim. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you to the Getty, to all of the cultural institutions who are here, represented here today. Thank you for believing in the artists, museums, the cultural centers of this town, and sponsoring this great world-class event. Let's give a big hand to Jim Kuno. How neat that we're here in the courtyard of a library. Our librarian is here. Is John Seaboard? No, but here. It's good to see you. It's great that we're here in a library, here in the courtyard. What is culture if it's not great places of learning, places where people can explore the world like a library? So it's great to be here with all of you. And we're here to announce the impressive boost that the Pacific Standard Time gave our local economy. We know what it did for the art world and for tourism, but I want to share with you what it did for our economy as well. But before we talk about the bottom line, let's remind ourselves how special Pacific Standard Time really was. It was no ordinary art exhibit. Most art exhibits involve one or at most a handful of museums. There were more than 60 art and cultural institutions who contributed to the historic success of Pacific Standard Time. Now, this level of collaboration is unprecedented and will be a lasting legacy of Pacific Standard Time. Most exhibits focused on one artist or on an artistic movement. Pacific Standard Time presented the art of the entire greater LA area. In fact, it went from Santa Barbara, I understand, all the way to San Diego, and it covered one of the most vibrant and inventive periods in LA history. Now, this was an exhibit of grand scope and scale. Flair, diversity, and boldness of Pacific Standard Time reflected the flair, diversity, and boldness, and I say that with all modesty, of Los Angeles itself. Now, this is a city that creates and innovates. It's a city that puts its stamp on art and culture in Southern California, and indeed in the United States and around the world. Pacific Standard Time has established a pride of place here in LA in the history of post-war American and international art. The exhibit was covered in over 1,300 publications all around the world, helping to ensure LA's place as a cultural icon. And as Angelinos, we can all be immensely proud of this historic achievement. As Pacific Standard Time made crystal clear, the city's Municipal Art Gallery, Watts Towers Art Center were also part of the creativity that we display here in the city. We had a loud series here at the Central Library featuring 4 Pacific Standard Time programs. Again, I'd like to thank the Getty Center for its leadership in launching Pacific Standard Time. I'd like to thank our Department of Cultural Affairs for its support. I'd also like to acknowledge the Los Angeles Economic Development Corporation for undertaking this study of Pacific Standard Time's economic power. Now, today they have some very good news to share. According to their study, during 6 months starting on October of 2011, Pacific Standard Time generated approximately $280 million in Southern California economic input. I'm the one that was at a Hollywood Halloween party till 2:30 in the morning, and you're all, I'm more awake than you, so I'm going to do that again. Pacific Standard Time generated $280 million in Southern California economic output. It supported 2,500 jobs. That's how we do it at a big rally, you know. And over $100 million in wages. What about that? Now, importantly for me, in these tough economic times, it added nearly $20 million in tax revenues to the state and local governments that we can use for core services to our constituents. How about that? 20. All right. There you go. You're welcome. So Pacific Standard Time has proved positive of the arts and culture in this region. It's proof what can be accomplished through strategic partnerships. And I really think in many ways that's what the Getty and Pacific Standard Time did. I mean, there are a lot of great institutions here. And one of the complaints that you hear from time to time is you have to go all over this broad expanse of the city to visit them. And we connected them in a different way and highlighted them. And I think that was probably, that collaboration was probably not only unique, but also lasting. I think we all feel more connected and better for it. Our city, as you know, is positively bursting with arts and culture and recreation, and we want the world to know it. You know, earlier in the week, we officially opened the Space Shuttle Endeavour to the public, and you know, in the world that I live in, of course, people complained all the way until it got here, and I knew that would happen. And I think when we first, you know, when I first went to the Chateau Marmont, it was 2008 or so, and we talked about the possibility. You know, it sounded good, but I don't think anybody really knew that it would be this big, this transformative. I don't think they knew that before the Shuttle Endeavour came as well, but they know that now. And I said I was at a party last night. We had a Halloween party, well, actually a masquerade party for the Breeders' Cup. And so we should figure out how we connect the folks who are coming from all over the world to the Breeders' Cup to our museums. That'll be for next year, because I got the Breeders' Cup to come this year, and they're coming next year as well for their 30th anniversary, and that's going to be a little plan that we have to figure out how we get folks to really enjoy these great institutions. So again, thank you all so much. It's great to be here with all of you. And now, I'd like to bring up Garrett Jin of Bank of America. And Garrett and Bank of America helped to fund this study. Garrett.